It's 6 p.m. on a Friday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che, here to provide you with the latest. Let us begin with the headlines. South Korea and the UN command are teaming up to drive foreign vessels out of the military buffer zone. Meanwhile, Seoul is working to force the Chinese government to be more active in preventing its fishermen from engaging in illegal activities that cost Korean fishermen more than $300 million a year. Seoul prosecutors are ready to summon Volkswagen officials connected to forging test results to meet local standards for imports to South Korea. Inbee makes history as the youngest LPGA Tour Hall of Fame qualifier. She's just 27 years old, and with 17 titles under her belt, the decision was a no-brainer. South Korea and the UN command forces have deployed troops to the Han River estuary to crack down on illegal Chinese fishing after years of efforts to solve the issue diplomatically. It's the first military operation conducted in the area since the Korean War ended with an armistice agreement more than half a century ago. Our Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
South Korea and the UN command have launched a crackdown on illegal Chinese fishing in the Han River estuary.
Our military police have been dispatched today to the Han River estuary to pull out all illegal Chinese fishing boats.
South Korea's defense ministry said Friday a 24-man strong military police team and 4 speedboats have been dispatched to the area. This is the first time a military operation has been conducted in the estuary since the armistice agreement was signed in 1953, ending the hostilities in the Korean War. Under the armistice agreement, the only ships allowed in the Han River estuary are those that are registered with the military armistice commissions of either South or North Korea. It's also the first the South Korean military and the UNC have collaborated to drive foreign vessels out of the military buffer zone. Illegal Chinese fishing in the Han River estuary has increased dramatically since 2014. Only 3 boats crossed into the zone in 2014, and by 2015, the number had risen to 120. But the number of boats has more than quadrupled this year, with over 520 vessels detected in the months from January to May alone. The South Korean crackdown team consists of military police, Coast Guard officers, a translator, and a member of the UN command, and they will use the UNC flag for their operations. Chinese fishing boats will be given a verbal warning to leave the area. If they don't comply, the crackdown team will be able to arrest the fishermen. There will also be choppers and warships on standby near the area in the event of any skirmishes or provocations from North Korea. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
The ongoing presence of illegal Chinese fishing boats in South Korean waters has been causing havoc in the domestic fishing industry, hitting the hardest as of late in the local crab catch. But the repercussions of illegal Chinese boats might go beyond the fishing industry and reach military consequences, as these boats are even found near the inter-Korean border. Hwang Ho-jun has this report.
The volume of crabs being caught by South Korean fishermen in the West Sea has plunged over the past year because of illegal Chinese fishing boats. South Korea's Maritime Ministry says the cumulative crab catch from January to April came to slightly over 660 tons, less than a third of the amount caught during the same period last year. That's a yearly damage of roughly $350 million. Local fishermen are pointing the blame squarely at Chinese fishing boats.
They are literally leaving us to starve, sweeping away everything. How do you think this makes me feel?
The South Korean government has vowed to take action, with Seoul recently filing a complaint against Beijing this week through diplomatic channels urging for measures to counter illegal Chinese fishing boats operating in South Korean waters. But the issue could prove to be complicated now, as the number of illegal Chinese fishing boats has increased in Han River estuary, where only authorized vessels from either South or North Korea are allowed entry. In other words, a de facto maritime border between the two Koreas. Experts say that the Chinese government's passive response in controlling its fishermen is the main culprit to the rising issue. Amid rising concerns that illegal Chinese fishing boats are not only affecting the local fishing industry, but also creating the backdrop for a potential provocation from North Korea, the South Korean government said it will continue to contact Chinese authorities to come up with a definite solution. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
Turning to the domestic political arena now, senior secretaries from the presidential office made a surprise visit to the National Assembly to meet with the new Assembly Speaker. Ji Myung-gil has more on the prelude to the new legislature's opening.
Presidential Chief of Staff Lee Won-jung met with the new parliamentary speaker on Friday as part of efforts to enhance cooperation between the government and the legislature. It's Lee's first visit to the National Assembly since he was appointed to lead the presidential secretariat last month. Lee congratulated Chung Se-gyun on his new position and asked for Chung's support in running state affairs. He was accompanied by Kim Jae-won, the new chief presidential secretary for political affairs. Gaining the support of the opposition party, which now holds a majority in parliament after an election in April, will be crucial for winning passage of President Park Geun-hye's job creation and economic revitalization initiatives. Lee also met with Kim Il-ok, the interim leader of the ruling Saenuri Party, Kim Jong-in, the interim leader of the main opposition Minju Party of Korea, and Park Ji-won, the floor leader of the People's Party. With so many new leaders in the assembly, the Minju Party's floor leader Woo Sang-ho called on all the parties to waste no time in getting to work and start discussions on livelihood matters.
We cannot waste the June session. We must quickly resume talks with our negotiating groups to deal with the issues that need to be dealt with in the June session.
President Park is expected to deliver a speech at the National Assembly on Monday to celebrate the opening of the new parliament, which began its four-year term on May 30th. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Sticking with local politics, some big changes could be on the way as an opposition party lawmaker has the Assembly's top job for the first time in more than a decade. Shin Se-min points out how things could be different for the new-look parliament.
Chung Se-gyun is the first lawmaker from an opposition party to take the National Assembly Speaker position in 14 years. The last time was Park Wan-yong of the then opposition Grand National Party in 2002. With the change in the party in control of the Speaker seat, the Assembly is likely to face some changes. The Speaker's authority to convene, adjourn, and end plenary sessions or committee meetings will now be in the hands of the main opposition party Speaker. The power to appoint the Secretary General of the Assembly Secretariat, a minister-level position, as well as the Deputy Secretary General for Legislative Affairs and the Deputy Secretary General for Administrative Affairs, will also be decided by Chung. As a result, political watchers are anticipating that opposition party lawmakers may have a better shot at getting them. Procedural matters related to hearings for justices nearing the ends of their term could also be affected by having a member of the opposition in the Speaker's seat. The terms of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the Constitutional Court Chief Justice and the 9 Constitutional Court justices will end within the current Speaker's term. Although Assembly Speaker is expected to be an influential balancer of the political parties in handling legislative procedures, the general consensus is that the decision-making processes will be different to the previous parliament, as 2 of the 3 Assembly Speaker and deputy positions are being held by opposition parties. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Let's look up north of the border now. Struggling under the weight of unprecedented international sanctions, North Korea suggests the two Koreas hold civilian-level dialogue to discuss ways to reunify the peninsula. Connie Kim zooms in on the proposal that comes just 3 weeks after Seoul rejected Pyongyang's offer for military talks.
Having failed at its previous attempts, North Korea is again proposing dialogue with the South, and this time it isn't limiting it to just military or government talks. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency said Friday that Pyongyang wants to hold a gathering of South and North Koreans who hope for the reunification of the peninsula on the 71st anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule. The report didn't specify a time or place for the meeting. North Korea characterized it as an opportunity to discuss ways to reunify the peninsula and ease tensions. However, the North also made it conditional, calling for a halt of all military war games. Seoul dismissed any possibility of the meeting, calling it part of North Korea's repeated propaganda offensive.
North Korea's proposal, reiterating its call for reunification under a confederation and a halt in South Korea-U.S. joint military drills, is an obsolete propaganda offensive. It was made without the North changing its stance on the nuclear issue, the biggest obstacle to peace and reunification on the Korean peninsula.
The spokesman added the North's proposal is in line with the decisions made during the North's landmark Workers' Party Congress in May. Kim Jong-un had proposed inter-Korean military talks, to which Seoul responded there would be no dialogue until Pyongyang shows a willingness to give up its nuclear weapons program. Most North Korea watchers in Seoul say Pyongyang's real intent lies in creating a divide within the South and the way sanctions on Pyongyang are being implemented, with some also suggesting the North could propose inter-Korean parliamentary talks as a way to create a further split. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Here's a build-up to the race for the White House. Hillary Clinton has won a number of high-profile endorsements for her candidacy. For starters, President Barack Obama said through a video message the presumptive Democratic Party nominee was so qualified for the job he currently holds. Lee Ji-won highlights the latest elements providing a massive boost to her campaign.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and Vice President Joe Biden have joined President Barack Obama in officially endorsing Hillary Clinton as the Democratic Party's presidential nominee. Warren, who is popular among the party's progressive wing, told a U.S.-based television network on Thursday night that she is ready to get in this fight and work to make Hillary Clinton the next president of the United States, bringing the former Secretary of State one step closer to the nation's highest office. The vice president gave his support shortly after a meeting with Bernie Sanders, saying in a speech the same night that whoever the next president is, God willing, it'll be Secretary Clinton. He is expected to issue a formal endorsement soon. The two endorsements came just hours after President Obama offered his, saying in a 3-minute-long video message that he was eager to get out and campaign for Clinton.
I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it. In fact, I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold this office. She's got the courage, the compassion, and the heart to get the job done.
Earlier this week, Clinton surpassed the magic number of delegates required to win the Democratic ticket and became the first female presidential nominee of a major U.S. party. The endorsement increases the pressure on Clinton's rival Bernie Sanders to concede the race. The Vermont senator has not yet offered his endorsement of Clinton, and he would stay in the race until the final Democratic primary vote in Washington, D.C. on June 14th. But after talks with Obama at the White House, Sanders said he would meet Clinton in the near future and work with her to ensure Republican nominee Donald Trump is not elected president in November. Wrapping up his video message, Obama called for the Democratic Party to unite behind Clinton, saying it would ensure not only election victory, but a brighter future for the United States. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Korean prosecutors suspect Volkswagen distorted test results to meet local standards for vehicle imports to the nation. They plan to summon related employees next week. Kim Min-ji updates us on the diesel scandal engulfing the German automaker.
Volkswagen is under fire yet again. This time it's suspected to have fabricated test results to meet local standards. According to the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office, Volkswagen allegedly tampered with 37 test documents related to emissions, noise levels, and onboard diagnostics equipment between August 2010 and February 2015. Korean law requires that imported cars receive approval from the National Institute of Environmental Research on their emissions and noise levels. Prosecutors believe Volkswagen Korea distorted test dates and substituted the test results of other cars for vehicles that skipped testing in order to cut costs and launch new models as soon as possible. The case involves 26 different models, including the Golf and Audi RS7. This comes after prosecutors recently confiscated 956 vehicles from Audi Volkswagen Korea, with more than 600 found to have been imported without the proper environmental authorization. It was part of a probe into the company in the wake of the so-called Dieselgate scandal, when the German automaker was found to have used a cheat device to manipulate emissions data. Korea's Environment Ministry has yet to accept Volkswagen's recall plan, as the German carmaker did not admit to having used the cheat device. Prosecutors now plan to summon Volkswagen employees deemed responsible for certification affairs starting next week. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now for some sporting news, another female Korean golfer joins the ranks of all-time greats. Inbee is also rewriting history as the youngest player ever to be inducted into the LPGA Hall of Fame. Kim Jung-soo explains the significance of this milestone and also takes a look back at her illustrious career thus far.
Inbee, at only 27 years of age, has sealed her spot in the LPGA Tour Hall of Fame after she finished the first round of the KPMG Women's PGA Championship in Washington State on Thursday local time. She is only the second Korean inductee after Park Se-ri back in 2007 and the 25th overall. The qualifications require the player to have a minimum of 10 years on the tour and at least 27 points in individual competitions. Park fulfilled the 10-year requirement by participating in the recent KPMG Championship and satisfied the 27-point requirement in late 2015, when she won her second VER trophy, given to the player with the lowest scoring average for the year. Park, who is currently number 2 in the Women's World Golf Rankings, recorded her first LPGA win at the 2008 U.S. Women's Open in Minnesota, becoming the first woman to win the title at 19 years old. She has since achieved a combined total of 25 wins with 17 LPGA Tour wins. Her most recent major championship win was back in August 2015 at the Ricoh British Women's Open, which helped her achieve a career Grand Slam. Regarding the historic news, Park has replied by saying that the induction is, quote, surreal, and has also commented that she will make a final decision on competing in the Rio Olympics by early July. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
And on that note, we've come to the end of this hour's newscast. As always, thank you for watching.